Hello everyone, welcome back to cosolix. I'm your host cosolix. Today I'm teaching you everything you need to know about how to move in Brawlhalla. We're going to be going over tons of movement options. I'm going to be talking about how to use them, how to capitalize with them. If you enjoy this type of stuff, subscribe for more. And if you want to improve at movement, you're going to want to subscribe because we have tons of videos to help you improve at Brawlhalla, and not just your movement, but how do you use the movement to then hit attacks and hit combos and actually win the game. So you're going to want to subscribe if you want to improve at Brawlhalla as quickly as possible. And if you want some personal coaching from me or any of the other coaches here at Team cosolix, check out the link down below, teamcosolix.com, I believe, something like that. Go click the link down below. Now, we're in Brawlhalla. The first thing you're going to want to do is go to offline. We're going to go into training room, just like in a lot of our other videos. Pick the character you want. It doesn't really matter. When it comes to movement, the first thing to talk about is the speed stat. Speed is extremely important. Grounded speed is pretty similar in Brawlhalla because dash does not get impacted by speed. However, your aerial movement really does. So if you want to play a bit more aerially with empty hops, maybe you want some higher speed. But if you're playing a character where you're grounded and stacked and you don't like jumping that much, maybe speed is less important for you. We're going to pick a map with a soft platform because we're going to be talking about the movement options on these soft platforms, of course. So I'm picking Enigma, even though Enigma isn't in the tournament map pool anymore. Just a good map for just practicing movement. So now that you're here, what you're going to want to do is make sure the bot is out of the way. Kind of is by default. If you really want to move the bot around, switch the bot settings. Whoopsie, go to control mode, and then just put them wherever you want. You can put them back if you really want. Let's go back to player settings. None of this really matters, but we're just going to turn off item spawning, so, you know, it's not going to get in our way. Okay, so the first thing we're going to be talking about are dash jumps. Also, I'm just going to go into this video saying, like, I'm not going to be teaching you the stuff that you should already know. I'm not going to teach you how to walk. I'm not going to teach you what a dash is. This video is for players who want to improve at movement and need a full guide on all the options and how to utilize them. Like, you guys know dashes exist. You guys know back dashes exist and jumping. If you know those three things, now let's talk about more advanced stuff. So dash jumps, you probably know what this is. But one thing you probably don't know is you can fast fall during it. So you can see how low to the ground I'm actually going. And I'm just going to turn on my controller for you guys really quick so you can see what my inputs are. So you can see it's a dash, and then I'm holding down immediately after dashing. It's horizontal and then down, horizontal and then down. And just controlling your dash jump from high and low is how you mix up, right? Movement is all about mixing up, and we want to make our opponent miss. The goal is to create an opening and to make them make a mistake. So that's the first part, dash jumping. If you want to practice this, you can kind of go back and forth and then try and do this as low as possible. And one thing you're also doing here, but you might not realize, is you're doing dash landings. So dash landings are basically when you land on the ground and then you dash, you kind of snap into a dash. It removes your landing frames, right? Look at this. I'm facing one way and then I snap onto the ground. So utilizing this, you can get from point A to point B extremely quickly in Brawlhalla. So practice your dash jumps. This is a great way to utilize this, but you can do dash landings out of anything. So like you could be like jumping and then dash and do that dash landing. I'm not gonna be talking about dash landings too much. It's kind of something you do by default without having to think about it. But yeah, right here, practice this. See how low to the ground I'm getting it? You can practice doing this. If you can't do it right away, you can do these between stocks. They're just like hand warmers, right? And you kind of get better at it over time. So now that you know dash jumping, let's talk about the next thing. Okay, so this is a more advanced option, but we're going to talk about it, is dash cancels. This is something pros utilize and diamond players. It might be a bit hard to add to your game right away, but you should know it. Dash cancels are basically when you dash and then you hold in the opposite direction, it shortens the dash. So if I just dash and I let go, see how far forward I go? But if I dash and I hold back, you go less, right? You can even see the difference if I go all the way to the left here. Dash forward, that's like, you know, 1, 2, 3 and more. But if I dash cancel, it's like less than 2. It's a big difference. And you can do dash cancels with back dashes as well. So like you can see how short I'm going or how long I'm going. Before dashing is better than back dashing. We're not going to be talking about back dashing that much. Everything still applies to it. It's just some more frames and less distance is the only difference. Like you could back dash jump if you want. But yeah, or dash cancel. Back dash cancel. But yeah, so how do you actually utilize dash cancels? This is a way of pressuring. So like, let's say I'm here and my opponent is there, and let's say my opponent has sword. Sure. let's really think about our opponent's range. Like he's got downlight, he's got nairs. We don't want to get too close or it can get a little risky. So if you do a dash cancel, I'm still spacing myself far enough away from him that I know exactly, like, I can play neutral without getting too close. If you get too close to your opponent, they're just going to hit you. But if you dash without a dash cancel, look how close I'm getting. And let's say this Bodvar is, you know, on the ground here, right? And we want to pressure. If we dash all the way, look at that. I'm way too close. He's just going to neutral light me or downlight me. But if I dash cancel, now he can't reach me. So it's all about pressuring. We don't want to get too close, but we also don't want to get too far. We want to make sure we're limiting our opponent's options and making them feel pressured to do something and make that mistake. So the next thing we're going to be talking about is how to add to this pressure is through empty hops. This is talked about through Stingray a lot. He really brought this attention to Brawlhalla. But Sandstorm has been doing this since the dawn of time. Jump fast falls. This, you could call it empty hops. You can call it jump fast falls. Empty hops, I think, is a smash term. Basically, the reason why this is useful is it gives you more options while on the ground. So you can choose between grounded options. So like the downlights, you know, if I go lower. You could choose between stairs or side lights, right? Maybe a couple more frames, but you get that option, right? And then, most importantly, on the ground, you can only spot dodge. You can't do diagonal dodges on the ground, but in the air, look at this. You can diagonally dodge. So let's say we're empty hopping, so we dash cancel, close that gap. Now we're empty hopping to pressure our opponent. He goes for an attack, we can dodge away, right? So empty hops and dash cancels, you use them to pressure. And then empty hops, you don't want to get too close. It's kind of like standing on that line between too close and too far. And we just make them feel like they can swing at us, but they really can't. And then we dodge away, and then we go for the punish. And that is like an insane strategy that pros use that you guys can definitely utilize. It's a little bit harder and earlier elo, but this is game changing. And then you can even incorporate dash jumps into this, right? It's all about making them feel pressured. So you go in and out, they might take a swing at you, but you're already gone, right? It's so fast. In, out, in, out, in, out kind of thing. Or you stand on that line. That's kind of how you pressure in Brawlhalla. So now that you know how to win neutral, and then you get that punish, there's actually some movement options once you land an attack. So there's something called a chase dodge in Brawlhalla. So let's say I go for this side light. I can't follow up this unarmed side light. There's no options in Brawlhalla that are true combos. And my opponent has a dodge. So what should I do? You can go for a string. And by the way, a string is a combo that's not confirmed. So they can dodge out of it or jump out of it. Or what you can do is something called a chase dodge. And you can reposition. See, it's like a momentum dodge. I'm dodging towards my opponent to reposition closer to them. So then I can react to what they do next. So for instance, like let's say we set the bot to dodge randomly. I side light, chase dodge, and now I'm in a position to capitalize a bit more. Right? Chase dodge, oh, he dodged away, and then I nair. If I didn't chase dodge, I would be too far away. But chase dodging, you can extend advantage state really nicely. And another thing you can do with chase dodges is you can chain them together. So as you see here, that's just one chase dodge. But what you can actually do is you can dodge twice. And that's a chain dodge, right? So like, and you can even change the direction of these. I could chase dodge forward and then up. And look at this. Forward, like I could be like, oh, I'm chasing after you. Oh, I'm actually not. And you could bait your opponent, right? It's a great way to just mix up your movement when you're extending. Chase dodge forward. Maybe you want to go like forward and then diagonal. You can do it in the full, I think it's like 8 directions or whatever, or 7 or 6. I don't know. It's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, 8. The only thing which you can't do with this is it's called a chase dodge. You have to be chasing after them. So like, I think you can do it like vertically, but you can't chase usually in the opposite direction. There are some weird situations with some attacks, but 99% of the time you have to chase after your opponent. So if I hit this nair, I can't do it in the opposite direction of this nair. I can't chase dodge backwards. I have to chase dodge forwards, or equal. Like I could go up, but I can't, you know. And also, I think you have to be grounded to chain them together, like 1, 2. But if I hit it in the air, I can't chain them together. The first dodge has to be grounded. Like there, that nair was grounded. But if I nair here, I can't do it, right? I don't think I can, at least. Let me see. No, I can't. So that's something you should think about. But honestly, I wouldn't focus on it. That's something I didn't fully know until right now, to be quite honest. Either way, you can typically chain them together if you're playing grounded, or if it's just in the air once, it's just one. You kind of get used to it. Yeah, just a repositioning thing. Another thing you can kind of think about is you can use this to bait in neutral with momentum and tempo. So for instance, I'm just going to show an option on Lance because I'm a Lance player. What you can do if you are chase dodging, and you can like cancel chase dodges too, which I'll talk about in a second, is if you get the momentum of chase dodging and then you cancel it into an attack, that attack has a lot of momentum. So like, let's say I downlight, right? Downlight has no true combos unless I'm on 9 decks. I'm on 2 decks, so you can jump out of it, you can dodge out of it. So one thing I can do is if I downlight, jump, chase dodge, reverse snare. And there I held backwards, but I can like hold forwards too, right? I didn't reverse it. You see how much momentum? I'm going so far, or I can hold it backwards. And I went to the left there, or you can go all the way to the right. So that kind of momentum, it's going to make your opponent make mistakes because they don't know which way you're holding. So they might guess, and then it's a 50-50 essentially. So using attacks that give you momentum once you win neutral, like let's say you don't have a true combo follow-up, you can kind of just like do some, crazy momentum stuff. Like let's say on Axe, I hit this end light, and then I don't know, I'm naring or something. It needs to be there in white, like you don't have a follow-up. It's more useful on Lance than other weapons, but there are like niche situations. Like there I could nair and then I'm holding to the right, for instance, right? I don't have a true combo, maybe I dare and then I'm kind of on the ground there, so there's not really a point, but yeah, I'm on the ground. But you get what I'm trying to say is like you can mix up your momentum, depends on the weapon you're playing, of course. Lance is a very momentum-driven weapon, so it's going to be more obvious. But there are other situations where you might want to cancel a chase dodge. So for instance, if you know the Russian Mafia combo on Hammer, this is going to be the last example for this, but it's just something to think about. So what you do is you downlight, jump, chase dodge. And you are chase dodging, but you're canceling that chase dodge. So you downlight, you jump, and then you're chase dodging. You can see that chase dodge animation. And then we're attacking to cancel it. So canceling chase dodges is also a good mix-up for movement, but it's mostly for combos or, yeah, like the momentum thing again. Like one thing you can do, I doubt you'd want to, but like you could probably like do something like that and then you have momentum. I'm not saying you should, but it's just something to think about. Having momentum will make your opponents miss. So that's kind of creating tempo and going for baits. Okay, next, this is a pretty advanced movement tip, but it's going to change how you play Brawlhalla. The hardest thing in Brawlhalla, in my opinion, is disadvantage state. Winning neutral and stuff like that, obviously it's hard and the combos are hard, but really disadvantage state isn't really talked about that much. And what I mean by disadvantage is you just got hit, you lost neutral, you're coming back to stage and you don't have that many options and you want to reset. You want it to be equal to your opponent again. One thing you can do is if you dodge in the air and then hold the opposite direction, you do a dodge cancel. And it's called that because you're canceling your momentum. So right here, if I like dodge to the right and then hold left, that's shorter distance than just dodging to the right and holding right. You're canceling that momentum a lot. So mixing up how you dodge is crucial. If you hold the opposite direction, like down and then up, look at that. I kind of stuttered in the air for a second. And that stutter is the difference between the Bodvar hitting a sword downlight and it landing or missing, right? That, like, it's just a couple frames, but it's so useful. You could do this diagonally as well. You kind of glide for a second. And it's just you hold the opposite direction or any other direction than the direction you're going in while dodging. And you'll just kind of cancel the momentum very quickly. So, like, let's say this Bodvar has a hammer and we want to avoid, there's, stomp, side light, neutral light, right? We get close to him and then we dodge cancel. And he might go for a downlight, I'll get tripped up. He can't react in time, it's so quick, and that's a way to reset neutral really, really nicely. So it's a bit more advanced, but it can really help you no matter what elo you are. And it's not that hard to learn. So soft platforms are pretty weird. There are some niche stuff to talk about, like if you dash off it, you get a full jump dash jump, which is pretty interesting. And there are like, yeah, there's weird stuff. But the most important thing that I want to talk about in this video, where you can actually capitalize other than dash jump and having these weird jumps, is ledge cancels. So if you get near a soft platform and then you dash or you go for an attack, you cancel the landing frames. So same as, the dash landings, I guess you can call them landing cancels. This is ledge cancels because they're soft platforms, kind of like ledges. I don't know who named it. But if you dash right at the perfect time, you snap to it. And this just makes it way easier to traverse maps. And if you combine it with that weird dash jump, you can kind of practice it like this. And you can practice this on a lot of maps. And this is just a good way to get from point A to point B quicker. Like, let's say you want to get across the map. One person might go like this. Maybe you go like that or something. Like, maybe you want to get all the way and hit like a downlight up here, right? Maybe you're going like this, and then downlight or something like that. You get what I'm trying to say? It's like you going from point A to point B is how you extend advantage state in Brawlhalla and a lot of things in neutral. So just ledge cancels, and I'm messing them up here as well, are very crucial and can really help you. They'll help you more in other weapons, and like some weapons, you know, it's better than others, but it's just something I'd really recommend practicing. And just over time, if you're on a map with soft platforms, then just go ahead and have fun with it, hand warmers, and then eventually you're going to get really good and not have to think about it. And you'll just add it to your gameplay automatically, like breathing. So now you know ledge cancels. We're going to be talking about one final thing. It's kind of a movement option, kind of not. If you dash while doing a charging attack off stage, you get a slide charge. And some moves are slide chargeable, some moves hover. Just kind of depends. Like if I'm on, I don't know, spear, that's slide chargeable. I'm pretty sure like all of Nash's are slide chargeable. Some moves there, like it holds back the momentum, so it's a bit harder. It's all momentum driven. It really depends. Yeah, I'm pretty sure all of Nash's are slide chargeable, but there are characters that do hover in place, so it's just something to think about. But yeah, if you want to edge guard, let's say your opponent off stage wastes a dodge and they're vulnerable, you can capitalize very quickly and cover that space extremely quickly. So definitely a fun and really cool mechanic. And you can slide charge off these soft platforms as well. So like, let's say the Budvar is there in neutral and you want to do a mix up, you can, you know, well, if you're in neutral and you ledge cancel slide charge really quickly, and if you can do that really quickly, maybe you'll win that neutral interaction. So you can kind of see there's a lot of stuff to Brawlhalla. I've been talking a lot. Practice this stuff between stocks in your free time, and you're just going to slowly add this stuff to your gameplay. Especially the earlier stuff in neutral, I think, is the most important, like the dash cancels and dash jumps and that kind of stuff, and empty hops. The last couple are just not more niche, like ledge cancels are useful, but I wouldn't focus on them as much, but they're good to know. I hope this video helped. Thanks so much for watching. Subscribe to cosolix again to improve at Brawlhalla. I'll see you guys later. Peace.